it's April with the Love and Loss Project. So I'm just coming on to do a bit of a broadcast today, even though I've been sick with a cold for the last couple days. So my voice might sound a little bit funny today. But I wanted to just take a few minutes and talk about a question that I received recently, asking for just any kind of tips and strategies for how you deal with people who seem to really minimize and basically put down and overlook the significance and the magnitude of grief that you have to experience and go through when you lose a little one. And so I want to thank you so much to the person who sent that in to me and take a few minutes to just share that with you here, because I think that there's a lot of other people who can also relate to this kind of situation. So what I'm thinking of when I say that idea of people minimizing your loss is the people that kind of say things like, maybe you should be over this a bit by now, and kind of give you that message that maybe you're being a little bit overly dramatic, or that you're somehow just making a bigger deal of this than you really need to do. And they're the people that kind of say things like, well, you're only this far along, or she was only, you didn't really have her for that long, so maybe this isn't really as big a deal as you seem to feel like it is. So I just want to take a few minutes to help you put some of that into check, because that kind of stuff can be absolutely painful and really challenging to go through. And the first thing that I want you to think about is that anger gets such a bad rap in our culture, right? Especially as women, we tend to be really uncomfortable, myself included at times, when we go through things that make us really uncomfortable and angry. We don't really like that feeling. So oftentimes what we do, I've noticed when I've worked with other people, and even at different times in my own life, it's almost like we kind of try to talk ourselves out of being angry, right? We almost kind of try to just get rid of the anger so that we don't really have to deal with it. But I think that we're possibly shortchanging something when we do that, because I want you to consider this, that anger is just really good information. Anger is information that your signals and your boundaries are being crossed. So if, as you're watching this, you can think of a recent occurrence, or maybe it's something that happened a little while ago, or maybe a friend or family member said something to you and it just kept kind of lingering for you. You almost kept kind of doing that thing where you replay it and you keep kind of going over it over, and you find yourself getting really frustrated and really upset about that. I would say that there is valid information to pay attention to in that your anger might be very valid. It is just information. And that information might be that your boundaries are being crossed. I think that anger plays a really important role in giving our systems the message that our boundaries have been crossed, and that is really worth listening to. And when we go through infant loss, I think it's really important that we allow ourselves to own that role as your baby's mother and as the guardian of their memory. And so that anger is often information that a boundary needs to be set to either help protect your own emotions or to help protect your little one's memory when that doesn't always feel like that's being really understood or respected. The other thing I want to mention is that sometimes though when we get that anger, it can almost feel like we have to push back really hard or burn the bridge of that relationship, or really, do something dramatic or say something dramatic to get our point across, right? We can all kind of get into that state where it's almost like we're fantasizing about how we really want to tell somebody off at times, right? But here's the thing. I don't know that we necessarily have to push back that hard. I think that anger is just information that you need to set a boundary in a way that is both direct and kind. And I think that it might be helpful to consider the source. That I do believe that unless you've really gone through this experience yourself, it can be almost impossible to actually understand the depths and the magnitude of how really challenging and how unbelievably impacted our lives really do become when we go through this kind of experience. And so I know that this is really hard to do, but what this means is that you need to take on the role of really kind of gently and kindly and sometimes consistently educating the people around you of how this stuff kind of works, and that this loss is significant, and that you do have the right to feel everything that you're feeling, because of course you do. So what I want you to keep in mind is that I think that it is absolutely possible to set the boundaries that you need to state just really clearly, and say things. It might depend on what kind of language you're comfortable with or what kind of relationships you have with the people around you, but I think it can be really possible, and it doesn't have to be very dramatic, to say, you know what, I know that this is really hard to understand, and I know that you're just a bit concerned about me right now, but I'd really like you to just be a little bit more in tune, that I'm actually doing the best I can, and that this stuff is just big and real. Or I know that it's hard for you to see me suffering, and I know that part of you just wants to kind of help move me along that a little bit easier, because this is hard to watch. But in reality, I really am doing what I need to do to take care of this with my counselor, with the other supports in my life, whatever that is. And I am on top of this. Because if we do not own the fact that it really is our job and our right to set the boundaries regarding how we want our little one to be referred to and how we want their memory to be recognized, then what we're actually doing, sorry, I mentioned earlier, I've come down with the cold. What we're actually doing is we are looking to the people around us to give us their approval and their permission that we have the right to feel the way that we feel, or that the loss of our little one really is as significant as it is. And I think that we're doing ourselves and our relationships an incredible disservice when we look to the other people around us to tell us what kind of role it is that we're supposed to take, or what kind of loss it is that we're supposed to experience when we go through the experience of grief of losing a little one. So I would say that that job belongs to you. So try to let yourself own it and make use of that emotion as being information, because that's all it really is. So if you have a topic that you want me to address, I just want to bring Sasha over to say hi for a second. If you have a topic that you would like me to address in another Q&A video, then send it to me at lovelossproject.com. Sorry. So I also have other free videos and resources to help you deal with this kind of stuff a little bit easier. All right, I'll see you next time. Goodbye. See ya.